Hi, how's it going? It's Micheal Redmond here. Now, you may well know me as a stand-up comedian, which I actually was for over 30 years. Or you might know me better as Father Stone from the Channel 4 sitcom Father Ted. And if that happens to be the case and you're still wondering how I am after all these years, well, I'm still fine. So, what am I doing here? Well, I've kind of retired from stand-up, but I keep coming up with, the odd idea for a joke or a comedy monologue or a comedy routine and that kind of thing because, to be honest with you, I quickly realised that taking up gardening in retirement wasn't going to satisfy me enough, it wasn't going to do it for me. Jesus, gardening, And anyway, I don't have a garden, which is probably why I was often found standing in other people's gardens over the years. So what's this all about? Well, this is my comedy podcast, which I've called "What Are You Doing in My Garden?" I suppose the best way to describe it is it's a short weekly podcast in which I'll be, throwing in a joke or two or talking about a range of things from, say, drink driving in Ireland in the 1970s, my chance encounter with Joanna Lumley, pole vaulting geriatrics, and lots of other things. But no poetry. Absolutely no bloody poetry. So if you have anything to say or add to what I've been musing on the podcast, it'd be great to hear from you. Or in fact, also if you have any questions about Father Ted, I'd be happy to answer them as well. The email address for the podcast is, "What do you do in my garden?" Hello, welcome back. It's Micheal Redmond here again. I was about to say welcome to What Are You Doing in My Garden, but it's not. In fact, it's What Are You Doing in My Fringe venue? Because on Friday we wandered into Edinburgh for the Fringe to speak to a couple of my favourite performers and people involved in the Fringe in general, and just to sort of suck up the atmosphere of the whole thing. I'll speak a little bit later about how the Fringe has changed over the years, but we sat in Teviot Square where the Teviot rooms are situated, and but unfortunately we couldn't go into the TV rooms because it's under renovation at the moment, which is a bit of a shame because I wasn't aware of this, but I wanted to sort of go in and have a look at, because that's where I've sort of performed my stand-up shows over the years, is in the TV rooms under the Gilded Balloon. But I say it's closed just for this year, but we'll be back next year. But I wanted to sort of wander in and have a look at sort of the old venues I played over the years, and just from a nostalgic viewpoint, I wasn't going to do any performing or anything, but unfortunately it's closed. But we sat outside in Teviot Square, which was awash with people. It was sort of, there's loads of these sort of food bars and bar stalls and everything sort of going on. There was hundreds of people wandering around, people leafleting and all that kind of thing. But we managed to find a place where we were able to hide away from lots of the leafleters. But there was an amazing atmosphere, and if you haven't been to the Fringe before, I'd advise you to go, because there are thousands and thousands of shows. Well, maybe not thousands, but there's loads and loads of shows to choose from. I didn't count all the shows. Lots of things. So there's not just comedy. I mean, there's theatre, music, dance, everything, and people performing outside and all that kind of thing. And it was an amazing atmosphere. But loads of foods to choose from, and loads of drinks to choose from. But one thing I'd advise you of, if you are sort of going to one of these bar stalls or food bars, is watch out for the price of drink, because myself and my producer Andy, we sat outside in the TV Square. He had a pint of lager and I had a half pint of cider, and it cost £10.50. So that gives you a flavour of how much the drinks are going to cost you. We didn't have any food, but I imagine they were sort of fairly expensive. But there's lots of different sort of varieties of food to choose from. Indian food, Thai food, Middle Eastern food. So it is an amazing atmosphere. But we had a lovely afternoon sitting out in the sun, and it was brilliant. But unfortunately, I couldn't go into the TV rooms, which is a bit of a shame. But this was after we sort of chatted to a couple of my favourite people who are at the Fringe at the moment. But I did mention that how much the Fringe has changed over the years. I mean, it's not dramatic for me, because I have done, my first show I did at the Fringe was 1988, and I've done the Fringe quite a few times since then, and it has changed quite gradually over the years. But if I just go back to 1988, just to sort of pinpoint the differences between what was then and what is now. Because from what I recall, I mean, there may have been about, in 1988, probably about maybe 30, 40 comedy shows. Now there's probably about 4,000. I don't know, maybe not that many. Once again, I didn't count them, but it has changed quite a lot. But not just from the amount of performers. The whole thing has just become a huge international thing. I mean, it always was the Edinburgh International Festival. The Fringe has sort of grown inclement, no, not word. There's a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't remember. What is it? Exponentially, that's the word, yes. Not incrementally, which isn't even a word in itself. But it has grown exponentially. It's quite a good word, actually. And we speak about words later with Jack Docherty, but anyway, exponentially is a good word. there are so many shows to choose from now compared to what I did back in my day. But I mentioned all these food bars and bar stalls and all that kind of thing, and how it has changed, because when I did it in 1988, there weren't any food stalls or bar stalls. I mean, there was bars inside the venues, but that was about it. But I mean, it does. I'm not sort of saying it's changed for the worse. I think it probably has changed for the better to a large extent from that viewpoint, because there was an amazing atmosphere when we were sitting outside in Teviot Square. Lots of people wandering about, and everybody seemed quite happy. But maybe not just because of that, the Fringe, but because it was a really nice sunny day and everybody was in a good mood. So it was a lovely atmosphere. But if you've never been to the Fringe before, I really do advise you to go, because it is worth experiencing, even just once. And if you have been before, you'll know what it's like. And if the last time you went was 1988, I can assure you it's changed quite a lot since then. But we had a chat with Jack Docherty, the police chief Miekleson from Scot Squad, and Absolutely, and lots of other things, and that'll be coming out next in this episode. Oh, by the way, if you've already been to the Fringe and you've seen any shows, do please get in touch. Seen any shows, good or bad? It'd be just great to hear from you what you think of them and what they are. So do please get in touch once again on Twitter at Waydim. That's the initials of What Are You Doing in My Garden? WAYDIMG. So please get in touch. It'd be good to hear from you. We can interact on Twitter and that kind of thing. And so I can speak about them on the next episode when we're actually going through to the Fringe yet again for more chat and buzz and that kind of thing. Oh, and the Olympics are finishing today, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. But I was thinking as I was watching, and particularly the gymnastics. I can't say the gymnastics are my favourite sort of discipline in the Olympics. I probably like the track events, the running events the best, but what struck me most was watching the gymnasts or the gymnastics is how much. I know there are some team events, but they are really on their own, and they've only got about sometimes maybe 60 seconds or 2 minutes to prove themselves, and they're sort of practicing for these 4 years just to do this thing, and it must be really bloody terrifying. I mean, I can't say how much I admire the courage of them, but I was kind of probably stupidly kind of equating it a bit to stand-up, because when you do stand-up, you're on your own, obviously. But, you know, in stand-up, if you do a bad gig, you've always got another gig 2 or 3 nights later, and you can maybe do a good gig then. But these gymnasts, well, all of them, but gymnasts in particular, they're training for 4 years, and they've got these 60 seconds to prove themselves, and the hopes of an entire nation fall on their shoulders just for those 60 seconds. So I just can't imagine what it must be like, what the nerves must be like. I mean, as I say, if stand-up was similar, if you were practicing your stand-up routine for 4 years, and then you had this 2 minutes to prove yourself in front of millions and millions of people, and you just died in your arse, and the nation, the hopes of the entire nation just sort of fell apart because of you, you wouldn't really be able to go out of your house again. It'd be pretty horrible. So I really do admire these people. You know, I can't imagine what it must be like if you've practiced for 4 years, and say if you're in a track event and you just trip up and that's it, just gone. 4 years of hard work, getting up every morning, 6 in the morning, training, all down the spout. And I also, just in finishing, have a bit of sympathy for the poor old pole vaulter who, I'm sorry, it is funny, but he hit the bar with his penis. Serves him right for having such a big willy, but there you go. Anyway, coming up, my chat with the wonderful Jack Docherty. Well, I'm here in the lovely surroundings of Jack Docherty's sister's flat, if I can say that.
You are. I haven't told her we're here.
So I was going to say it. I should say the multi-talented Jack Docherty, sorry.
Yes, sorry. I did, when I agreed to do this, that was
in the contract.
Yes, of course, yes. The multi-talented, doesn't it say still surprisingly handsome for a man of his age? Doesn't it say that?
I'll start again. It's still surprisingly handsome for a man of his age. You're not even wearing glasses either. You're not wearing spectacles.
I know, but I've got them hanging from my t-shirt.
Oh, so you do.
So I do need them for the reading.
All right, okay.
But I'm still okay for the seeing. Yeah,
that's good. Well,
but you kept your hair, so it swings and roundabouts. You know, I'm the ball of the coot. Look at you. Oh, you're fine, man. You're fine.
you give your right arm for this.
I certainly would. From the forehead up, almost everything else.
Well, despite the baldness, you're looking very well.
Yes. No, I'm feeling well, actually. You know, it's good. It's just good to be feeling it. What was, John, I can't remember John Sparks' old joke about, nice to be seen or something. I can't remember. Nice to be, whatever it was. Nice to be at our age.
You're a very funny man. Do you still see him now?
Yeah. John, I see every now and again. Yeah. All the absolutes, we get together once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But, John's, kicking away, doing voiceovers for many, many things. I think he's stopped doing live, which is a shame.
He was very nervous, wasn't he? Very nervous doing live stuff.
Yeah. Also, he was so... It's like he was one of those actors that almost became the character. He inhabited it so much.
The Frank Hovis, wasn't it?
The Frank Hovis, that thing. I always remember Jerry Seinfeld, and I felt this completely. Jerry Seinfeld saying that I realised I wasn't a very good actor because I'll be in a scene with someone and I'll just be thinking, God, you're really good, rather than being in character. And I find that with John Sparks. I've been going, my God,
you actually are the character.
It's like you've been, like another soul has become you. So I think it was quite exhausting for him actually to be that person. But I'd love to see, because lots of comedians of our generation are now the age of the characters they played, when they were younger, in the 1980s. We could all do Stony Bridge now, you know.
Yeah, indeed. You wouldn't even have to get makeup on.
Exactly, we're good to go.
I will talk about absolutely at length later on, but before I even talk about your illustrious career in general,
yes.
I don't know why I remember this because it's not that significant, but it was. I think it was probably about 1993, maybe.
Yeah.
Upstairs in a pub in London. And I think maybe absolutely we're celebrating the end of the third series. Could that be possible?
That could be possible, yes. That round about then, third and fourth series, There
were lots of luminaries invited. I somehow got in as well. I don't know. And I wasn't sitting with you, but I remember at one point you came up to me and said, Michael, what's your favourite word? And I said, gobshite, which was my favourite word at the time. Yeah. And I said, what's your favourite word? Do you remember what it was?
I can't, no.
Cusp. That was your favourite word.
Cusp.
Yes.
That's quite nice.
It is a great word, yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah, I
wonder if it would still be cusp.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it still cusp? Have you sort of changed?
Yeah, I'm happy to stick with cusp.
Sticking with cusp.
On the cusp. Gosh, it's great when and it's weird things that there'll be something I remember. I remember us being in Montreal.
Yes, we were.
I think that's maybe where we first met at the Just for Laughs festival.
Was that before? Because I did a warm up for Absolutely when I died on my arse. That would have been.
Oh, I'd forgotten about it.
I haven't.
Well, we've all died in our arse. I died in my arse doing the fucking BAFTA Film Awards.
Did you?
Yeah, hosting that. And you're sitting in the front row. It's just,
Yeah, that's
it's
hard.
Jack Nicholson and Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein. They're not laughing now, are they? Pair of them. Yeah, we've all. But come on. I'd forgotten you warmed up. That's right. Why didn't it work?
Because at that time I was very sort of laid back and I used to wear a Mac and do one-liners. And then I had all these cameras flying in front of me and I deliver a punchline and the camera would be... It was just disastrous.
And of course, because the whole point of the warm-up, you've got to whip the crowd up. And you've got to get them applauding, get them clapping, not your style.
I wasn't really a warm-up man.
It's coming back to me now. I seem to remember you just went off to the pub. About 15 minutes in, fuck this.
I think I went to A&E first.
But it's a difficult gig, the warm-up, because
it's hard, yes,
every now and again, you'd have a warm-up. I remember Phil Kay did it once, and he was too good. So we're kind of going, no, be okay. Get the warm-up, stop. We don't want them thinking, we want Phil back. They're here to see the television recording.
Well, Phil would be a perfect man for that kind of...
Yeah, completely, of course. Just improvising, dashing around. You've got to be high energy and just get all that. Unfortunately, I never did any. Thankfully, I wouldn't... But if something goes wrong and you've got to Phil for half an hour.
I know, yeah.
We did, Phil once, Murray and I, doing a live show. There'd been a hurricane in Jamaica and they were doing a gig called Smile Jamaica.
What's the name of it?
I know, exactly. Cheer up, Jamaica.
Just a hurricane. Just a hurricane for fuck's sake.
It's a hurricane. You've been flattened, don't worry. And it was at the Dominion Theatre and we'd been told, Murray and I, we were doing the links, it was for Channel 4, we were doing the links for the TV. And they said, you're fine, you're to stand down, but just hang around just in case anything goes wrong. So we thought, well, that means we're free. So we just started drinking, of course. And suddenly there was a camera and lights running down the stairs, just counting down, going 5, 4. And they're going, just Phil. And we're going, for how long? So we don't know. And I said, well, what's the problem? And they said, you two are trying to find Keith Richards. And you kind of go, well...
What?
That that could be weeks. We can't just keep talking. So Keith Richards was somewhere backstage and he was going to guest with you too. And so we managed to do we had to do 5 minutes and suddenly cut, and the guitars blared out. Anyway, how did we get onto that? The cusp, yeah, Montreal.
Yes.
So no, I think the absolutely warm-up was after Montreal.
Was it?
No, I don't know.
You could be right. I know Montreal was 1989.
Yeah,
so
the first
could be around the same time. Yeah,
first series of Absolutely was 1989.
Yeah.
So, or 1990.
And so was Montreal. Can you remember what month in 1989?
Yeah.
It was late 1989.
Yeah, we did the pilot in 1989, so the series was 1990. Because I remember we were there, and Charlie and Paul, Hickson and Whitehouse, and Vic and Bob. Do you remember Vic and Bob at Montreal?
I remember Vic, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know Bob was with them.
Yeah. I remember them doing the warm-up at Montreal, not making any concession at all to the fact that we're doing a Canadian audience. You know, Keith Chegwin's nailing bacon to the backstage. Just all the references. It was glorious. Yeah. 6 of us laughing in a room full of silence. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I remember meeting Vic there. He said somebody was going off to New York or something. Because I think New York is quite close to Montreal, wasn't it?
Yeah. A short hop, yeah.
Yeah. I remember him being there. Who else was there?
Craig Ferguson was there.
Craig Ferguson was on the same bill as me, in fact.
That's right. Craig was going, I'm going to stay here in America and make my fortune. And we were all going, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, Craig.
yeah.
With mounting horror. We watched. As Craig went off to become a squillionaire.
We didn't do the same gig.
No.
It was...
No, I think Murray and I, again, were just doing telelinks. I don't think we did anything live. We might have, I can't remember. That's too many years ago.
It's too long to remember.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson was there as well, I remember, but he wasn't on the same... I think he was doing his own thing.
Of course he was, yes.
Yeah. And he was a sidekick then, but he's...
Angus
Staton.
Angus, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, he was there.
What a star-studded...
yeah, indeed, yes.
Star-studded troupe it was that year. and the pair of us.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. I remember some party we all went to. It was up on the top of some hill somewhere. But I remember the famous actress. I keep forgetting her name. Oh God, she's really well known. It'll come to me, but she was there.
This person was there. If we're trailing this podcast, I don't think we should open with that anecdote.
No, it's a bit of a shit anecdote.
Why don't I just start listing famous actresses and see if we get there?
What's the name of the woman that I pretended was my flatmate? The actress that I said was my flatmate, but because she told me she looks like.
I can't remember. I can't remember either.
That bit's gone horribly wrong. Never mind.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it, yeah.
You can. It will come. What's she in?
Loads of things. Helen Mirren.
There you go. We got there at the end.
Dame Helen Mirren, yes.
Dame Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm getting to the stage now. There's two Haley Steinfeld and the other one who's got a name slightly similar, and I can never remember both of their names. I can't keep both of their names in my mind at the same time.
They just
which
merge.
Is weird. Yeah. It's weird shit in the brain, isn't it? As it gets old, it's a bit weird.
But it's also strange that because I remember that cusp thing, which wasn't that significant. I don't know why.
I know.
I don't remember the rest of the night at all. I just remember you saying cusp.
Yeah, but it's just so weird that we all just remember tiny little things. That for everybody else is gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird.
And have we actually remembered it, or have we misremembered it? Because I just saw Mnemonic recently at the National Theatre. That's all about how a memory becomes the memory of the memory of the memory of the memory of the memory, and it changes until the actual thing that happened doesn't exist any longer. You know.
Yeah.
So it could be one of those.
Could be.
Maybe it was somebody else. It's probably Murray.
Murray dressed as Helen Mirren.
Yeah, Murray dressed as Helen Mirren. And it was clasp, not cusp. So, but there you go. Let's pretend it's that.
We move on. You're sticking with cusp anyway.
I'm sticking with cusp, yeah.
Okay.
Happy with cusp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I'll move on to your illustrious career then.
Yes, good.
Because pre-absolutely.
Yeah.
You did the Bodgers.
That's right, yeah.
Which that was before Morwenna or John Sparks got involved.
Yes. So that was the 4 Scottish people from absolutely me, Gordon Kennedy, Murray Hunter, and Pete Bakey.
And you did a fringe show.
We did a fringe show called The Bodgers. We were all... It actually started with 8 of us in 1980, so I was 18. So I've actually been doing this since then, which is crazy. And we were all at the same school, in fact, over different years. So I was the young lad. Yeah. I was in first year when they were all in 6th year. And then they they were setting up a show. They had a couple of mates who'd always wanted to just do one show, just do it once. And so they set up, they asked me to join in. They actually asked me because I was at school with a girl that both Murray and Pete fancied. So
I was the in for them, yeah.
So I was doing like a sixth form review or something, you know, some show at the end of the year. And
I'm sure I saw, sorry.
They came to see that, you know,
yeah,
and to chase this woman.
I'm sure Pete Becky told me, I read it somewhere, that the first time he saw you was you were riding a bicycle down some street in Edinburgh.
Yes.
And you were giving out leaflets for some show you were doing yourself or something. Is that correct?
No, not quite that. No, I was. Maybe that was his version. No, that's where I met Pete.
Yeah.
For the first time, I was cycling down and I took a left turn instead of. I normally go right, and I took a left and bumped into this guy Pete, and so it's a kind of sliding doors thing. And then I got to know Pete, which led to doing the Bodgers. And if I had a knot, I probably wouldn't have ended up doing it. I don't think I would have been leafleting at the time for it.
Maybe it was just bits of paper.
60, maybe exactly in the future.
A4 paper.
Yeah, but so that was it. So we were kind of like a band, you know, like a band from school, and it was kind of that time as well, the late 70s, when the ethos was anyone can do it, you know, from punk on, and I think also there was that thing that we were from Edinburgh, and you know, I started going to see festival shows when I was about 14 because I got into comedy and. So I'd go and see the Footlights or the Oxford Review, the Bristol Review, but it was all English, so there was no Scottish acts.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, none at all that I can think of. Maybe in theatre, but there was no comedy.
I don't think there was, no.
No, and so we just thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody from here doing it as well? So we started doing it, and that gave us an initial little surge of publicity because it's like, oh, here come the local boys. You know, here's Cliff Richard and the gang doing the show right here, and that got us started. You know. So yeah, I think we did about 5 years of the Bodgers, and it was just again we were just only going to be doing it for fun, and then you know suddenly, you know, TV producers started asking us to you know go and write for other shows or to be on radio shows or whatever. So we thought, well, hang on, maybe we'll just give this a go, you know, full time. Which
and you got a Perrier nomination, didn't you, in 1985?
We did, 1984 and
84 was it, sorry?
1985. We lost twice.
You got twice? 2 Perrier awards. 2 Perrier nominees, sorry.
Nominee, yeah. We the winners in 1985. I supported fully. It was Theatre de Complicité, who went on to obviously become one of the finest theatre groups in the land. They were doing a show called More Bigger Snacks Now, and also a show called A Minute Too Late, which is about bereavement, which I became obsessed with. I saw it about 8 times. You know when you get a show and you just fall in love with it. Kept going back to see it. Simon McBurney and 2 other guys. But in 1984 we were beaten by a comedy brass band, which still hurts. A comedy brass
That's going to hurt forever.
Forever. I mean, with their, you know...
They weren't 2 guys from Brighton, were they?
No, they were American, I think. But it was like there was a number of them, and you know they did funny things with brass instruments. And we were just going, it's a slam dunk. We've got this in the fucking bag. Brass bands. And then, of course, now there's a big party and everybody comes and there's an announcement and here's your photograph with a check. Back then, they just turned up on the last night and gave it to the winner. Yeah. So on the last night, you would just keep bowing, just hoping, looking off stage. Is that it? No? Okay. Fuck it. They're not down at the brass band, are they? But they were.
Different world.
So whatever you are, brass band, I hope it all worked out for you.
I haven't heard of them since. I must
say. They might have gone on to. They might have changed their name. You know, maybe they play with Beyonce now, for all I know.
It will be.
Yeah.
So the Bodgers, then you moved. Then how did Morena and John Sparks get involved?
Morena and John Sparks joined. We were put together by Alan Nixon, the radio producer at the time, and then he became the TV producer. We had done as the Bodgers. We did one series on Radio 4, and there were many complaints from English people saying how many people are in the show, we can't tell the voices apart, they all sound the same. You know, how dare you allow 4 Scottish people? There is an apocryphal story actually. I don't know. It may not be apocryphal. That in one meeting when the Scottish BBC Scotland was trying to get shows on the network, you know, going, we've got these great comedy shows, but they're not being shown on the network. And one of the commissioners in England said, it's not really going to work. It'd be like having 6-man wells.
Jesus Christ, really?
Well, I'm sure it's not true, but wouldn't it be great if it was?
I could imagine it being that.
You can imagine it maybe, yeah, but they've all got silly accents. We can't have that. So to broaden it out, let's get more people in it. And the Celtic thing seemed to be the best bet. And we were getting friendly with John Sparks, having done the circuit with him.
Right, okay.
Jongleurs and Comedy Store, or whatever we were doing back then in the 80s. And we just met Morwenna as well. And so it just seemed a perfect fit.
Because she was from Cornwall.
She was from Cornwall, yeah. So it was four Scots, a Welshman and a Cornish woman.
Yeah.
And it just fitted. We all kind of slightly had the same kind of sense of humour, different, but within the same kind of absurdist area. You know?
Like Monty Python's.
Yeah, exactly. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, so we did one radio series with the four of us, and then that became the TV series.
I was going to ask you about the TV series. I don't know whether this is true or not, but another thing I read somewhere that the reason you got commissioned to do the TV series on Channel 4 was that you were in Mike Bolland's office, who was the head of Channel 4 at the time.
Correct.
And you did sketches in front of him.
Yes.
And he liked it so much, he said to Seamus Cassidy, who was the company commissioner, if you don't commission this, I'll fire you.
Yeah, so I don't know about the end of that story, but the rest of it's true, with a slight kink, which was that we were doing it in front of Seamus, who was the commissioning editor. Mike Bolland was the boss. And again, when I think back, it just seems, it's the kind of, just the courage of youth. You know, I wouldn't do that now, but... You know, because we'd sent them the script and they kept going, we just can't, we're just not, you know, it's not coming off the page. And we go, well, you know, you got to see it. And fair enough, because some of it would be just, John Sparks will hum Greensleeves whilst moving his knees. And you kind of go, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah. Maybe you don't want to give us £1 million for that.
You'd have to see that, though.
You'd have to see that, yeah. And so we said, okay, well, what, you know, we're not doing a live gig, but let's just, we'll come in and we'll actually act this script for you. In the boardroom over some sandwiches. So it was Seamus and his team, and then Mike Bolland just happened to be passing and said, I'll come in. So he sat in and really loved it.
Right, okay.
And so then they commissioned the pilot on the strength of that. I know, it's just like...
if you compare that to you have to get an agent for a start.
Yeah.
You'd have to submit an idea to a production company. Yeah. Then the production company would have to submit it to the television company.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would just go on.
And then they would focus group it for a while and it would be sent around, and it's just, it was, I know we're like sounding like old men. In my day it was...
In my day it was much easier.
And even when I was young, I met Jimmy Gilbert, who was, heading up comedy in the late 60s and 70s, and I got to know him, and he would tell me, Attenborough would running channel at BBC Two at the time, he'd just wander in and go, the Pythons, I'll 12. He hadn't even read a script, hadn't seen anything. I like the look of these chaps.
From Cambridge as well. Yeah.
Exactly, from my old college, I suppose. But so now it's difficult because you do a show on any channel now, and there's a lot of notes, a lot of people over it. But it was just, they took chances and gave us the first series, and it just worked. So
that must be nerve-wracking, was it?
Yeah,
it was. Somebody's office.
Yeah, God, it was. Yeah, I know. Just somebody's office, no crowd.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know. What were we thinking of?
Well, you're obviously thinking clearly because you got a series.
Yeah, we got a series.
3 series, in fact.
Yeah, and we thought, well, you got it. Yeah, look there. Yeah, and I think we were just going, well, John Sparks is funny. Look, there you go. Yeah, that's the sort of thing we're talking about. And it's all it's cost is a few sandwiches to see us do it, and now now it's up to you whether you want to spend more money on it. And I think we did a pilot, and I think there was the usual thing. There was a few people in the running for the show. I don't know who the others were, and we were lucky. And maybe there was a little bit of Channel 4 was a new series, a new channel, and it needed things from nationwide, and they didn't have a Scottish thing, so that probably did help us. If we were rivals to a London group, they probably had enough London stuff by that point, and so the pieces fell into place. It
was the first sort of Scottish sketch show, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Other than certainly on 4, on BBC, there was Naked Video.
Oh, right,
so Naked Radio became Naked Video, and actually John Sparks was in that as well. Yeah, and they'd done some stuff with Rick Mail. I'm sorry, I've paid my licence fee or something. I can't even remember what it was called. So they'd done a little bit. Ramsey Nesbitt, I think, might have come out of that. But it was one of the first.
Because I know I had Gavin Mitchell on the podcast. Gavin Mitchell, I think he was in Naked Video.
Yes.
He's been in everything, in fact.
He's been in everything, Gavin.
Apart from Absolutely.
Apart from Absolutely. Who won't have him? Yeah. He's a surprisingly famous man, Gavin Mitchell. Go out for a drink with him in Glasgow. Well, if you're in Still Game, I mean, it's just like, it's a cultural phenomenon. It really is.
I think it's one of the best sitcoms of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't get a national...
Yeah. I know it took a while again to get onto the network. It did very well when it got on the network.
It's one of the beauty of it is that even though it's about 2 old men, I mean, my kids love it.
Yeah, completely.
My
and as they always say, it just expanded from the 2 old men into a huge community. They always say it was just something like the Simpsons. It was just here's this character, that character, and it just blossomed into this whole world. And it really it just connects, you know.
Yeah, it does.
It's just absolutely. You just walk around Glasgow or anywhere really in Scotland. You go, oh yeah, I know. It's those guys. There they are. Wherever you go,
you can see them. Yeah,
you can see them.
That's pretty fun. My kids, because my kids are brought up in Glasgow.
Yeah,
so
of
they
course.
can see the characters. You know.
Yeah. I always forget you moved to Glasgow. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when did you move there?
1998.
Yeah. So it's just a long time ago now.
Yeah, 26 years.
Yeah. So you've got Scottish kids.
Yeah. Well, my twins were born in London, but they were only 2 when they grew up to.
I didn't know that. I've got twins too.
Have you? I didn't know that either.
But they're London. I've got English twins. It goes round, you see.
Well, but they were born in London, so they are.
They're in London too. Yeah. Mine were born in London as well. I'm
2 boys.
Okay, mine boy and girl.
Yeah.
Identical. Now I've got. I'm boy and girl. So.
Yeah.
People still ask the question when I say twins and the boy and the girl. They go identical, and you go work it out. Identical means.
There's a comedian called Viv G from Glasgow. I don't really know, but it was when I first came. She said she's got twins, and are they from the same mother? And she didn't think. She said, are they from the same mother? She realised after a few seconds what she said, but.
So how old are your twins?
They're 30. Well, they'll be 30.
30, yeah.
In October, yeah.
Yeah, mine are 26. 27 in December.
Close.
Yeah, there you go.
And did you go again after that? It was just the twins.
Yeah, just twins. No, I had before pre-twins and then, but none post-twins.
I had pre-twins. I had a post-twin.
Yeah, post-twin. Yeah, yeah. I got step-kids as well, so it's just all you know.
Yeah.
This is why I'm still working. Still going.
Yeah. So they are really fully fledged Scottish, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
But yeah, there was. I remember when we were still in London at the time. There were probably about 2 or 3, but we came up to Glasgow because my ex had family in Glasgow, and we were at this ballpark somewhere in Loch Lomond, those kiddie ballparks.
Yeah.
And so we'd already been in Glasgow for a year at this stage, and the woman who was running the bar said, "So you just up for holidays from London?" Because she thought my kids' accent, she still got a hint of a London accent from them, which is weird. Yeah. But I think they're fully fledged Scottish now. Though.
And you did dress them as pearly queens.
I did,
yes. Until they were 9.
Yes,
so come on. You know.
And I had the Union Jacks on them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Very popular in certain parts of town.
Yeah. So to go back to Absolutely, did you write together? Like I know about Python. I was reading something about the recently. Kind of Miekleson and Chapman wrote together, and then Eric Idle wrote separately, and then Micheal and Eric Jones wrote together. Was it? Did you and Murray write together, or did you all write together?
Yeah, we wrote in different combos. So I wrote with Murray a lot.
Yeah.
But we mixed it up a bit. Pete would do the songs.
Yeah.
But then I'd sometimes write songs with them. Murray would write songs with them. So John Sparks would write his own stuff. Mm-hmm. He was and we were much more scattergun, as was Morwenna. Morwenna wrote a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But John would come in, and I would say pretty much every word he wrote ended up in the show. Because it was just like, he would hone it, and it would just be perfect. Me and Murray, Morwenna, Gordon didn't really write a few bits and pieces, but me and Murray and Morwenna, we would just like throw out a lot of stuff and read it to the group, and then they would kind of vote on it, and we'd go ahead with it. But I wrote a lot with Morwenna as well, so it was just different combos.
It's just a mixture,
And actually, when I say Gordon, Morwenna wrote with Gordy as well, and then I think they wrote a lot of stuff together when they went on to do. She did a Morwenna Banks show on Channel 5, and Gordon and her worked together a lot. So it was there was no hard and fast combos, although me and Murray would were the main double writers.
Together. Yeah. Do you prefer writing with somebody, or I mean, I know you're doing a lot of stage shows now. So
I mean, it depends what I'm writing. I write mainly on my own now. If I'm doing Miekleson, like this live show, then that's written with different people. So I like that. When it's broader comedy and it's joke-led comedy, then I love just getting in a room and we just all try and make each other laugh. But the more serious stuff, then it's the same with Murray. Murray's gone off and written, stuff that's more personal to him. And then it's just, I think, then it's easier it's your voice. And I don't quite know how you would do emotional stuff together. And also the other shows I've been doing have been kind of more about my life. Yeah. So I've just been taking things from my life and not.
I suppose when you're younger, you just want to just muck around and do something silly. But when you get older, you kind of you got these life experiences which you want to get out.
Exactly, and you're going, actually, let's can I say something here?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Having said that, this year I'm back just doing jokes, and it's great. It's just such fun just to be going for the laugh again.
I'm definitely going to pop along and see it.
Yeah,
because I love the character.
Do just let me know.
How did it come about? The character?
Well, Joe Hewlett, who is now a commissioning editor at Channel 4, came up with the idea for Scot Squad, a kind of parody of the blue light shows, and just got together a group of characters, and so they auditioned lots of different people to play different characters, and then they asked me if I would do the police chief. So it was just, you're the chief of police, and here's some scenarios, and here's some little interview points, and then you just improvise around it. So you'll get... So it's not, the scenes aren't written with, dialogue. It's just a half page of, he's digging up a time capsule, and in the time capsule are this and this and this, and then you film it and you improvise. So you've got the basis of it, which you'll get, and then you go off and you follow your nose. And that's quite easy, because a lot of my stuff I'm behind the desk, and it's easier to improvise on your set yourself. It's just a bit like writing, whereas if you're in a scene, you've got to, oh shit, you've said something, I've got to respond to that, and go with that, and not try and force it down the way I want it to go. So I was given the character, and then it just developed over the years, and sort of we all wrote it and we all improvised it, and it just sort of he started growing.
Yeah, you've really owned it, I think.
Yeah, no, it's good fun to do. It's a funny one, because I just put on the, when you put on a uniform, you go, I am this character. I can, and when things go wrong, that's when you know it's fine, because the computer broke the other night, and I just had to fill for 15 minutes, and it's easy. Because you know the character so well, so you can just take it wherever you want and start talking to the audience and all of that. Brilliant. And I always worry about that, though, because I remember reading John Cleese saying that the comic character you play best is the person you would have been in life had you not had a sense of humour.
Which is Basil Fawlty, really, isn't it?
Which is Basil Fawlty, exactly, because he obviously had all that repression and rage and stuff. But fortunately, he was funny. You could see that it would be ridiculous. And you, of course, Michael.
I am me.
You are that man.
Yes. It's an extension of that man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's I think a lot of stand-ups are that, though. Most of us can't really act as such, but we can kind of do extensions of ourselves. That's about it.
And I think that's the best stand-ups are just heightened versions of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it has to be authentic in some way, doesn't it? It has to be.
I mean, even though what you're saying may not have happened, but you could imagine that person doing something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That is the way it works, I think.
Yeah, and it's quite worrying again when the last two shows I've done, I've been playing a version of myself, but a really unpleasant version of myself, and doing terrible things, and behaving appallingly in the stories, and people just think it's all true. It's not all true. I'm not that bad. Come on.
I've exaggerated it. It's theatre.
Exactly. It's theatre. I'm making up. I may just be, just because my character is called Jack Docherty, but it's great because people just buy it. They go, "Oh right, it's all true." It's good.
And you've done it before this. The police chief. You did the. Was it Me and David Bowie or something?
Yes, last year I did a show called David Bowie, Me, Parallel Lives, and before that I did a show called Nothing But. Nothing But was about a show about me chasing a lost love that I'd an American girl that I'd had a one-night stand with in the 1980s, who then flew back to America the next morning.
And you went in search?
And I just made a whole play about looking for her and trying to find her, and then finding that she's coming back in the year that I was first doing the chief, and I tried to recreate the night we had together with hilarious and disastrous consequences. But again, everybody thought it was true. But I was going, no, it's just, I just thought, what if I'd been obsessed with that woman?
What would happen?
I wasn't. But again, it's a kind of an emotionally true piece. Because everybody at a certain age thinks, oh, what if, and maybe it should have been that person, all that kind of stuff. So it was all about that. And last year's was about meeting David Bowie and my obsession with David Bowie when I was a kid. And then having the good fortune of interviewing him on my chat show. So,
I was going to come to that on Channel 5.
Yeah.
How long did that go for?
2 years. 2 years too long.
For you or
2 weeks was enough. No, it's fine. It's the greatest job in the world if it's 1 day a week.
Yeah.
If Graham Norton, and you got, the choice of the guests. It was quite a struggle every night. You were probably on it.
I don't think I was. No,
You must have been.
maybe I
The thing
just
is, I interviewed so many people, I can't even remember.
You had stand-ups on, didn't you?
Yeah, we'd have stand-ups on.
Yeah, maybe I did some stand-up on that one. Yeah.
Maybe you did, I can't remember. But it was quite... Because I'm not... Again, I think I was sort of playing the part of a chat show host.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who were really good at it, Jonathan Ross, Graham Norton... Even Frank Skinner, I thought was a very good chat show host, and they're sort of you meet them and they are heightened versions of them. Whereas I was kind of a bit. I'm not hugely. Hey, welcome to the show.
No.
You know,
Unlike me, Jack.
Yeah, unlike you, exactly. But it was still great to meet all these people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many other jobs where you're going to hang with David Bowie for a couple of hours.
Is there some story about that you were coming out of your dressing room and the night David Bowie was on and he was just standing there or something?
Yeah. He was just waiting because he'd been rehearsing with the band, and I just opened the door and he was there. It's like, he's so iconic, and it's like fucking hell. So I introduced myself and said, "I'm Jack Docherty," and he said, "I know you are, Jack. I'm a big fan." Now, of course, he wasn't, but
he might have been. You never know.
He might have been. Although, because at the time I thought, how nice of him to put me at my ease in that way, being a professional, and then hoping someone had filmed it. But actually, thereafter, David Baddiel came to see the show last year, and he said, "Oh no, Bowie was a big comedy fan, and he would get his producers to send like Mary Whitehouse Experience videos out when he was on tour. So he thinks he probably was an absolutely fan, because he loved absurdism and all that kind of stuff. He certainly loved Vic and Bob, and then did the Ricky Gervais thing. So he was a comedy man. So he might well have known who he was.
He doesn't strike me as the sort of guy who would say that if he didn't mean it.
He'd
exactly. Bother his arse.
Exactly. Why would
So you just take the compliment, Jack.
I'll take the compliment. Exactly. I'll take it. But it was great fun doing that show. It ended. Again, it was just all sorts of stories of... It was just a way to stand up about being young and obsessed and falling in love with a girl who also liked Bowie and all that. And then leading up to this. And then we played the interview silently behind me whilst I talked about my time for 10 minutes with him. And it was just great because the audience were just... It was funny because you could see them just staring at the projection whilst listening to me. And it was just curiously touching because, he's gone now. But there he was, in his pop, looking great. And so it was great. So it's kind of fun when you hit on something that I didn't think that was going to particularly work, and it worked really well. So,
that's great.
And that's what the Fringe is about for me anyways. Just throw stuff out there and...
We give your show a big push near the end. Any other sort of people on that chat show that were memorable to you? Sort of.
I remember. It was always people that I loved as a kid.
Yeah.
That's, I think, you can never quite get over.
No, indeed.
I would go home and my kids would go, "Oh my God, you've met Eddie Izzard," and I go, "Yeah, it's Eddie."
So what?
It's Eddie from the pub, from 1982. Of course, I met Eddie. It's like, whereas for me, it was like, the Pythons, and it was just like it was still a thrill. And I met, Ringo Starr and George Harrison, and it's like there's a part of me that's just going, it's the fucking Beatles. It's
the Pythons even.
It's the Pythons. It's Bowie. It's the Beatles. It's people who I'd loved as a kid, and also people. Generally, the Americans were always the ones who were, because they're so used to doing chat shows.
Yeah.
So you would and they would go, whatever. Harry Connick Jr. I'm going with every joke you throw at me. I'm going to go with it. You want Tom Cruise to be a midget? I'll tell you a story about Tom Cruise being a midget. Whatever.
It's part of their life.
Yeah, it's great. It was good. Every now and again there'd be somebody I wouldn't know. Come down the stairs and I go, "I wonder who this is."
That must have been really hard to interview somebody like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it was difficult. Particularly right about the soaps, because I'm not a soap guy. So I'd never watched the soaps.
I can't stand them.
Yeah, so I would just I've got to research a fucking
soap opera.
And I remember asking Barbara Windsor, "So you've been in East End, so what's happened so far?" And they're taking it seriously and trying to tell me what had happened in 20 years of fucking East End. Good old Babs. Well, there you go. There was a night. Sometimes you get roundups. That night was Barbara Windsor, Alice Cooper, and Andy Williams. And it ended up with Alice Cooper because he's a great golfer. And somehow the guys had written, "Can Alice Cooper get into Barbara Windsor's knickers or something?" There was a full-size cutout of Barbara Windsor with large pants from Carry On Camping, her uniform Carry On Camping, and Alice Cooper had to chip with a matchy nibbler to try and get... And you're sitting there going, how's my life become this? But you get to meet Andy Williams, you know? And I get him to dedicate a song to my mother, who was the biggest Andy Williams fan in the world. So imagine the fucking bonus points I got for that. Always forgiven. Always forgiven.
After all these years.
After all these years, you've got me, Andy, to dedicate Can't Take My Eyes Off of You to my mum.
Did he mention your mum's name?
Perfect. Yes, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, I fed it to him, yeah. Joe, look down the barrel. Joe, and this one's for you. Fucking result. Here he is. Yeah, exactly. Knocked out of the park.
Superb. Well, what else can I ask you? Well, we're going to give a big push for your police chief.
Of course, my police
chief. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, well, the police chief, the chief, we're doing a spin-off series.
Yeah, oh wow.
From Scot Squad, featuring, called The Chief. So you can work out what it's about by the title.
I'll have a think about it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Get in touch with me if you know what it's about. And obviously, people keep making jokes about, like, you know, well, let's hope it's Fraser, not Joey, or the curse of the spin-off.
Yeah.
So it's him and his senior management team, and also his daughter comes to live with him, she's a climate change activist.
Oh, brilliant.
So we're sort of getting into that world, and we're trying. Hopefully, it's going to. I think it'll work, but you just never know. So it's kind of about him. He's the chief of police, but he's being policed all the time.
Okay.
He's policed at work. You can't say this. You can't do that. You're interviewing someone. You're not allowed to ask where they're from or what their surname is. All the new rules of living, you know. Yeah. And then at home, he's being policed by his daughter. You can't drink that beer. It's from Germany. You got to drink a local beer. You know, it's just sort of what our lives are like with my kids. So, and then just having all the kind of silliness of the chief from the olden days. But it's different because it's a narrative. So you hope that people who like Scot Squad will come with it. But obviously it's different. It's a story rather than sketches. So we'll see.
And are you writing it yourself?
I'm writing it with Noddy Davidson and
from the comedy unit.
Yeah, from the comedy unit, and Rab Christie and Joe's thrown in some stuff, and Stuart McPherson, and so we've all kind of chipped in.
That's great.
I kind of storylined it, and then we all threw stuff at it. You know, a bit like how the Scot Squad works.
I suppose the beauty of it is that you already know the character as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the sitcom I wrote for Radio 4, when I knew the characters, you could just wrote yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You know where you're going with it.
Exactly.
And I think he's, particularly to getting into all that kind of stuff of what you don't want is an old character going, pronouns and all these young people, you know, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And what I think works for the chief is he's always trying to embrace whatever is the latest thing and it's new. And I'm 100% behind this, of course I am. You know, and then just getting it completely wrong, you know. And I think that's the better way to try and get comedy out of those situations. So fingers crossed, because it was a lot of fun making it. New cast members, they were all really good, and they're very funny. So we'll see.
I wish you the very best of success with it. I forgot to mention my favourite character from Absolutely was Miekleson.
Oh yes, Miekleson, of course.
I Googled or videoed it or whatever you do these days.
Exactly.
As that sketch. When you're on a bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
And you're riding to the border.
The English border, yeah.
But I thought then you get off the bike and move into the English bit, and I thought you said, bastards! Yeah, but you didn't. It was something else, wasn't it?
No, I shouted poofs.
Poofs, was it?
Yeah, poofs. Which, again, I don't think we'd do these days. We probably would have to say bastards.
You would have to say bastards, yeah.
But we lived in more innocent times. Or crueler times.
The beauty of that was that you envisaged him, he'd ridden for miles, obviously. In the wind and rain, and he just gets to the border and just poofs and then rides back again.
Yeah, exactly. But also what I like about that skit is the fact that he gets on his bike very quickly and starts cycling really fast, looking over his shoulder, because he's a terrible coward. But no, he was a lot of fun to do.
I'd say. And didn't you see some guy in a pub in London that was based him on? Yeah,
in the George in Wardour Street.
Even remember that.
Yeah, but he presented it. I was sitting having a pint, and he did say, I think it was, see what you're sitting on there, son. That seat, you'd be sitting on the fucking floor in your arse if it wasn't for the Scots. We invented the chair, and I just said, well, thank you very much. I will have that entire character. And then that was so then I went home and wrote straight away that we invented everything, and that led to the joke. We invented the English. We did. We took all the deviants and perverts and bastards in our country, shoved them south, and said, "You can be the fucking English." All that kind of stuff. So you can imagine doing that in Glasgow. Me and Murray did the concert hall, I think, because it's quite a big hall. I don't know how many people.
Oh, it's big. It's very big. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah.
So you can imagine doing Miekleson in And this was back in '93. We did a live show. And we had a plant in the audience. So Reservoir Dogs had just come out. So Miekleson found an English person in the audience. Took him on stage and then tied him up, put a See You Jimmy wig on him, force-fed him haggis and threw Iron Brew over him too, Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers Swivel. But as I was taking him out, the whole audience, half of them on the feet going, fucking kill him, big man, fucking kill him. And you're going, well, the satirical point we're trying to make here is that that nationalism could get out of hand and become a little bit extreme at times. Whilst also just going, oh, this is the most fun in the world. Doing this character.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, he was a lot of fun. I did him live again about a few years ago. And when they had the referendum, did a one-off for Channel 4, which was a lot of fun.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, called Scotland in a Day. Remember those movies? There was UK The World in a Day where everyone self-filmed. So we just got lots of sketches where people had self-filmed and Miekleson linked it, on the biggest day of his life as we were about to get independence. And of course... But comedically, it had to fail, for him to get so close and just for it to fail. I felt tragic for him, but there you go.
A brilliant character.
Yeah, good fun.
Well, give us a big push for your show in Edinburgh at the moment.
Right, well, my big show in Edinburgh at the moment, I don't really need to push it because it's sold out.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just leave it. I'm leaving.
No, we get out of here. Isn't that terrible?
That's brilliant. It's fantastic.
No, it's good. Yeah. I know it's good, but I'm only doing 2 weeks, so it's not 3 weeks.
Oh, well,
even so, no, it's good. It's good. So I got into terrible trouble with I've got a young friend. She's the daughter of a couple of Australian friends of mine, and I gave her an induction at the Gilded Balloon. So she's been coming for 3 years now. Building slowly but surely. And so she always gets cross, that I'll go, I'm not quite sold out. She's getting 7, so she really hates it. And she said, you've sold out this time, what are you going to complain about? And I said, well, I didn't sell out in advance. You want to be one of those guys who's got the 3 red bands before they've even come to fucking town. You know who you are, you people.
Yeah, it's something we're never happy, are we?
Yeah, exactly. No, but there's always returns. You can get them. You might be able to get them in the night. So it's the Chief. It's just he's launching his autobiography called No Apologies. So it's readings from the book and a little bit of a history of his life.
Superb.
And no, it's such fun to do. It's just because I haven't done the character live since 2018, so there's been a lot of series since then.
Okay.
So it's just gratifying to see that an audience like the character,
course,
and so it's fun to play him. The audience is having a good time, and it's just it's what the festival's about for me. Just have a laugh.
And I want to come, so I'm going to have to push my way.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I can get you, obviously. Yeah, I can. We've got. You always keep back a few for friends and family.
Yeah, friends and family.
And press. Yes. And the press can fuck off because I don't need a crit. So you can have the press.
Yeah, okay.
You might have to do a crit.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Slag you off. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. 1 star. Michael Redmond. Yeah, exactly.
One final question. It's a bit personal. You don't have to answer if you don't.
No, it's cool.
What's your favourite biscuit?
My favourite biscuit is the classic humble chocolate digestive.
Good one, yeah.
Solid. I can get, if I start, it's a bit like my old smoking habit,
Yeah.
I can't have one.
Without having
I
5.
let people have 1 cigarette, I'd have 20 tomorrow.
Yeah.
One of those biscuits, I think, oh, fuck no. I need a whole box of them. What about you?
You may not have heard of this. Have you ever heard of a chocolate Kimberley?
No.
You won't have. It was originally in Ireland.
An Irish biscuit.
But you can get them in Morrison's in Glasgow.
Oh, nice.
How would I describe it? It's kind of like it's a sandwich with sort of marshmallow in between, but the sandwich is kind of soft, gingery kind of.
Very nice.
And it's covered in chocolate. Chocolate Kimberleys. If you can get them, they are superb.
Chocolate Kimberleys, as in the girl's name, the Kimberley.
Kimberley, yeah, Kimberleys, made by Boland's. Okay. The reason because we did a podcast of in which we will send you some. Yeah. Chocolate Kimberleys.
I really want to get
Give me your address in London and I'll send you some chocolate Kimberleys. But the reason all this biscuit thing came up was one of my sons, my youngest son, was in my flat one day. Yeah. And I made him a cup of tea and I brought in a plate of fig rolls. He fucking looked at them and said, they're old man biscuits. I could not.
They're old man biscuits.
They're old man biscuits. So I did a whole episode about
old man biscuits.
What are old man biscuits and what are young man's or middle-aged man's biscuits?
Well, it all ties up because in my chat show, the very first guests were the Spice Girls. Yeah. Height of their fame. And they said, well, we've been on, we've become famous and we've done so many interviews now. We want to interview you because you're starting as a new chat show host. Yeah. And they had 5 questions. And one of them was, what's your favourite biscuit?
Really?
Yeah. And I was just about to answer, and someone in the audience shouted out Garibaldi. So I just went, Garibaldi, like that. And they cut out the guy shouting it. And then there was a critic going, he's always going to be a good chat show host, because like that, he came back with Garibaldi. I was messing in the audience. It was just perfect. So you'll notice I didn't. I just gave you the honest answer. I could have gone for Garibaldi. It was available to me.
Okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up.
Even though you've already sold out, you're still prepared to come and talk shit to me, which is great.
Yeah, no. Well, I wanted to see you.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
been too long.
After all these years.
Because I just, I wanted to let you know that it's still cusp.
Thanks again, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers. Pleasure, man. Bye.
So there you go. That was my chat with the one and only Jack Docherty. I really enjoyed talking to Jack because it was like sort of just chatting to an old mate rather than sort of interviewing somebody you don't know really very well. And I hope that comes over. I really had good fun with it. So that is basically about it for this week's episode, except to say that, as I've already mentioned, the next few episodes are called What Are You Doing in My Fringe Venue? And we're heading back into Edinburgh next Friday to chat to a few more comedians and performers, not necessarily about their own show, but any shows they've seen or any stories they might have about the Fringe this year or over the years or anything like that, and also chat about anything that might happen as we're there, because surely something will happen, but if it doesn't, we'll fill it in with something else anyway. So do look out for that. And before I go, just to mention, in next week's episode, I'll be featuring my talk with the one and only Karen Corn, the queen of Fringe comedy, as I like to call her, and in fact, many other people do as well, and also the owner of the one and only Gilda Balloon. So do look out for that as well, and we'll be back next week, in fact in 2 weeks' time, with all that. So do listen out for that, and I'll be speaking to you then. Thanks again for listening. All the best from me. Bye-bye.